I'm Alfred Barley with Arid Bilge Systems. Today I'm with Kevin Wensley of Hylas Yachts. Over at Hylas Yachts, they deliver such a high quality, comfortable boat where we go ahead and deliver such a clean, fresh boating experience.
So first of all, welcome aboard. It's nice to see you. Beautiful day out here on the water. I just want to point out that we've got about 7 to 8 knots of wind, if that, and the boat's doing 6.2 over the ground. That is something special on a boat this size. So yes, Alfred, we love the Arid Bilge system because it does contribute to what I think is quintessentially a Hylas. When I say quintessentially, what I mean, it needs to look good, it needs to feel good. The feel good factor is everything is ergonomic, everything is within easy reach, everything is just push button. The sails come out with a push button. Steering the boat's super easy. We've got controls on both helms, which is quite unique to this boat. So it looks good, feels good, but it smells good too. So we like to think that a year after or 5 years after ownership, you'll go down below and it'll still smell like a new yacht. Part of that is making sure there's no standing water anywhere on the boat. And your system really digs much deeper than everyone's got the bilge systems, but the Arid Bilge systems really gets right in there and takes out every drop, so we never have to worry. It seems to be super reliable, and so the less times I have to visit the bilge to do anything, the happier I am, and I'm sure all our owners will be as well.
We've been around for about 20 years, where our technology is able to go and vacuum from your bow, mid, and stern, gets rid of the last little fluid that always accumulates, and we're able to last so long where it's just only pushing and pulling that fluid by vacuum, as opposed to that fluid just being sitting down there and just causing a, as you said, a stinky environment, a rusty environment.
Pump itself, not your system, the existing bilge pumps. They don't have to work as hard. They don't work hard. They don't have exposure, constant exposure to the water that's in the bilges. Their performance stays high. Their longevity stays high. So the overall performance of those systems in the bilge have a much higher performance because of what you're doing in the outset. If you have different metals of different nobility submerged in water, and with the less nobility is actually going to corrode. So, and that's electrolysis, and that's exactly what's happening. You're getting two different metals and you're getting the water involved, and it's creating a current and causing one of the metals to corrode. I was saying earlier that you contribute to the quintessential Hylas experience. And the quintessential Hylas experience is one that looks good, one that feels good, one that sounds good. And when we say sound good, the only sounds you should hear are the sounds that you want to hear. Like now with the waves rushing along by the side of the boat, sounds great.
It is pretty spiritual. Is that a good way to put it?
I'd say so, yeah.
It's pretty spiritual, very nice and calm.
Yeah, we like it. But anyway, we were saying it looks good, it feels good, smells good, thanks to you guys. It sounds good in that we don't like to hear systems running that will bug us at night. Where your main system part or the driving part of your system is located can be pretty much anywhere on the boat, right? We've got ours in the engine compartment now, which is great because there's so much insulation around there, you'll never know it's happening. There are alarms to let you know things are happening, but you'll never hear the system run, which is great. So we've got look, feel, sound, smell, and the only thing we haven't got is taste. And I was just trying to think of what a Hylas might taste like if you could taste a Hylas.
Right.
And I decided it would be like an angel's tears of joy dripping on your tongue.
Now, are you the one that made that one up?
I'd like to say yes, because I am. I did make that up. I think it's important to state that the Hylas yacht is actually a very dry yacht anyway. But yes, of course we get water in the bilge. That's why we have pumps down there. There's going to be an amount of water that's in the hose on its way out to wherever it's leaving the yacht. And even the best non-return valve in the world is not going to stop all the water getting back. So you're always going to have that little bit of water. And once you've got water down there, it's standing in the humidity. Of course, that evaporates and turns into condensation somewhere else on the boat. And then before you know what's happening, you're starting to have to deal with a little bit of mildew. If you can just keep the boat super dry without any opportunity for that to happen, then she's going to stay smelling great. The example I had, or we had just recently, is this boat's only just been commissioned and we were stepping the mast, and when it rained, some of the water got in down the mast and got into the main bilges there. I was just checking it out earlier before you came along, and I opened it up, bone dry. Perfect. That's the kind of thing that we look to for you to back up what we think is already a pretty watertight system, but it's also there just in case.
You guys designed the boat to go and be as completely dry as possible. You know, water is a unique thing. It turns into a gas, gets into places where you don't want it. So water would normally come down the mast and then get into the bilge. And it doesn't matter like how you go and seal that up, it still just gets down in there and at the very bottom of the bilge. And really hard to go reach down there. It's normally a big pain to go and get that last little bit of water, and the bilge pump will only activate at a certain height.
Yeah, even the best kind of non-return valves, the water that's in that pipe, once it gets pumped up, get back into the bilge. So just clearing up that last bit of that last maybe quarter inch of water, you guys do a great job. And you're right, the humidity, we're in the tropics, it's going to get hot down there, so you're going to get condensation, you are going to eventually get mildew growing if we don't get rid of the water and dry things out. And like I said, it really does help with the aroma of the boat. It smells nice.
So the typical problem that always accumulates on boats is corrosion, mildew, paint chipping inside the bilge.
So yeah, avoiding getting any salts or any water on anything that's corrodable is key. And again, keeping the place super dry is going to avoid issues with other bits of equipment down the line. I like the thing you mentioned earlier, the fact that the existing bilge pumps aren't working all the time actually means that the life of that pump is going to be extended because it's not going to have to run as much.
The Arid Bilge system is your primary system, and we're really lasting for 5-10 years before it has to go and have a minimum service on it. Anyway, Kevin, the Arid Bilge system is fairly hands-off. That's what we typically hear from all our OEM builders. It's something that you would just install, and it's plug and play, and it's really easy to install plug and play. I would say that because they didn't hear back from it, they're assuming that it's running so well.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, in the absence of any feedback from any of our clients to the contrary, your system seems to be very reliable. And it's something that I think you would notice was failing pretty quickly. If you've got water in the bilge, then your system isn't working. From my point of view, I like to promote technology that's an improvement, which is yours, is what you've done for us, but that's also reliable. Because this one actually keeps people from having to get into the bilge very often. On all those counts, that's great news for us.
We last so long as everything is just perfectly installed correctly, everything's tuned correctly, having your tubing lengths correct, having the discharge going inside of a correct drainage discharge and it's not backflowing back inside the system.
Clearly, I don't do the installation. So the guys at the factory, I believe, are very happy with the support that you give them. They need to know the technicalities of exactly where to put this stuff and how long the tube should be or not be and that kind of thing. I understand that you do have good communication either via Christian, our service director, or directly with the factory. The fact that you have great quality control, talk to the factory or Christian directly to make sure that we're making the installation so that we're going to have no failing in the foreseeable future. You're saying 5 to 10 years is pretty standard for you guys. If we can expect that, and you give us the after-sales service in terms of if a client has got something to say about anything, you're willing to come in and help out, then again, we're very happy with what you do for us. Thanks. In the years that we've had your system available to our clients, I can't think of an occasion where we've had any problems at all. The installation, of course, is always going to be a bit challenging, but once we've done that, all that bugs are worked out of the system.
The Arid Bilge system is very efficient with its power draw. It draws at its peak less than an amp, and that's when it's actually vacuuming, and then that's when you're actually hearing the system running. It's creating the vacuum side of the combustion chamber, and that's when it's actually hitting its peak. Then it opens up the valve on the side of the unit, and that's your actual intake valve. And then it doesn't draw really any more power. It's just in the standby phase where fluid is actually just coming through, and then it just keeps on running. It's very efficient of a system, very efficient for sailboats in that regard too, because you want to make sure that everything's very efficient power-wise on a sailboat.
What I do know is that when it's working, the bilge is dry. That's a good thing. You also mentioned that you're only using less than an amp when we're at peak of performance, which is great. And then you also said 2 amp hours a day would be what I could expect to be using. Given that we're a lifestyle-based kind of yacht, and how we live is important to us on board. We've got air conditioning we can run all night without having to run a generator because we do have the lithium-ion batteries. They have a bank of over 800 amp hours anyway. We've got the solar panel putting out over 1,500 watts for us at any given moment at the peak of performance. So we've got a lot of power going in. We do have a generator. We need a generator every now and again if we've had a night without any generator and enjoyed the air conditioning and we want to have a hot shower in the morning and we want to run the kettle and we want to do all kinds of stuff to make the hot coffee, get the blender going, whatever you're going to do. We do need to recharge, but at the end of the day, it's good to know that we have a system that delivers in terms of the lifestyle and the ambience and how we feel on board and only takes up 2 amp hours a day. It's a no-brainer. Good for you guys. You've come up with something that doesn't take much power and does a great thing for the yacht.
Especially in the sailing boat community, you want to have a system that is both reliable and very little drawing of power. We want to be as efficient as possible.
But by virtue of what we do, sailing, that means we're not actually generating power beyond what we need with the sails. So we do have to be careful with the resources that we have. We have limited resources in many ways. We have limited resources in terms of fuel. We have limited resources in terms of water on board to drink. We have limited resources in terms of electricity. And anything that's a big draw on any of those can become a problem for us. So you do a great job. You make it fun to live on board, you make it smell nice, and you don't take much power. You're a win.
Kevin, where is the system installed?
The unit itself that does all the work, the brains, if you will, of the whole system is in our engine compartment. Great spot to have it, by the way, because it's very insulated in terms of sound. And then the pickup, so on this yacht, there are 3 isolated zones. So we've got a zone at the bow where the anchor locker is and the sail locker is, and then behind that is a collision bulkhead. So that should you damage the front of the yacht, the water is never going to get past that collision bulkhead. And then we have another bulkhead at the back of the boat so that should we have a failure behind the master stateroom, then that's an isolated center, as well, an isolated part of the yacht as well. So your pickups, one is in our main bilge, which is here in the main salon area below the sole there. And the other is in the aft section where the lockers are, the steering system is, and the rudder post. So if any water gets in there, then your system's taking care of that for us as well. So in summary, we've got 3 units. The one at the front we don't worry about too much. I mean, that's the anchor locker. Water's going to be getting in there all the time. And it all just drains straight out. And then we've got the living area, which we have a system for. And then we have the back area that has some through holes. So you may run the risk of getting water in there as well. So the 2 pickups, one in the main salon, one in the aft section, and the brains of the whole thing and the functionality, I guess, of the whole thing is in the engine compartment where it's insulated from any kind of sound.
For the cost and the benefit of the system will go and pay for itself because it will go ahead and keep everything nice, fresh, and clean.
Absolutely, 100%. The clean, dry, and fresh, they're the things that is very important to us and the quality of life on board. You'd expect the bilges to be dry. In that regard, thanks very much. Clean, dry, and fresh, that's almost priceless.
So our products are assembled in Florida, and we believe in only delivering the highest possible quality of products, and that also reflects with you guys.
Sure. Certainly quality and service is something we pride ourselves on, and Hylas has a great reputation for that. Nice that you're being manufactured in Florida. Our service center is here in Fort Lauderdale in Florida, so that's worked out for us. For us, the service and support is for the lifetime of the yacht. It's not for the lifetime of ownership. The boat might be sold on to somebody else. But if you own a Hylas, you can call up and you'll get some kind of a response about anything, whether it's you need a replacement part, whether you want to understand how something works, whether you want to buy a new yacht or not, and then trade up, something like that. We'll be there to support you. And our clients are on first name terms with the people that actually built the boat. And in the same way as I might reach out to the guys that do our spas like Selden or the sales like North Sales, I might reach out to their guys to say, hey, can you help my client understand more about those particular features? I may call up Alfred and say, hey, I've got a client here that just wants to understand how the Arid Bilge system works that well and how it's going to deliver on what he's paying for it. And I'm sure you'll be the first to step up and say, I'd love to tell him all about it. Come on down.
We also pride ourselves very much with having the highest possible quality customer service as well. Yeah, we like to go and see all our customers, all our builders, absolutely astounded with our customer service and just the longevity overall with the system. And ultimately, I believe that's the American experience to go and deliver a highest possible quality service. And that's what I just see with you guys, a reflection as well with you guys.
I'd like to think of it as an Anglo-American experience when you're talking to me. But no, I get where you're coming from. And yes, there's a lot of synergy between the way we want to operate our businesses. For that reason, thanks again for what you do for us. And I hope this relationship lasts for a very long time.
Kevin, I really appreciate this opportunity, this time on this boat. This has honestly been a real privilege to be out on this boat directly, seeing the sail. It just feels so comfortable. Again, thank you for this opportunity. It's just been a wonderful experience.
Great. So the key words when you're thinking about a Hylas are actually, I think, performance, quality, and service. But clean, dry, and fresh, that lends a lot to that whole quality feel. So the Arid Bilge delivers that 100%. So life on board is fun and special all the time.
Really thank you for this time and this opportunity. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Great pleasure. Good to have you on board.
Thank you.